Most people think they're afraid of failure. They think the reason they procrastinate, hesitate, or stay stuck is because they're scared things won't work out. But what if that's not the real reason? What if the thing that's holding you back isn't the possibility of losing, but the possibility of winning? It sounds ridiculous at first. After all, who would be afraid of getting what they want? Who would be afraid of achieving their goals? But the truth is, success comes with consequences. It changes relationships. It changes expectations. It changes identity. And sometimes, the version of you that succeeds feels more threatening than the version that struggles. If you've ever found yourself pulling back right before a breakthrough, this video might explain why. Here are 7 signs you're secretly afraid of success. Think about the last time an opportunity could have genuinely changed your life. A job application, a business idea, a project, a conversation, something important. Now think about what happened. Did you suddenly become incredibly productive? Or did you somehow find 20 other things to do first? It's strange. When something doesn't matter, we often move quickly. But when it has the power to change our future, we freeze. Many people call this laziness. It isn't, because you're not avoiding the work. You're avoiding the outcome. If this works, your life changes, and change is unpredictable. Your brain would rather keep you in a familiar struggle than push you into an unfamiliar future. Even if that future is better, dreaming is comfortable. In your imagination, everything is possible. You can picture the business, the career, the relationship, the future version of yourself. And as long as it stays in your head, it remains perfect. But the moment you take action, something changes. Now the dream becomes real. Now it can succeed. And strangely, that can feel more terrifying than failure, because success demands responsibility. Once you become the person you've always wanted to be, you have to keep being that person. The fantasy becomes reality, and reality feels heavier. That's why some people stay in planning mode for years. Not because they don't want success, because they know success will ask something from them. Someone compliments your work. You immediately explain why it wasn't a big deal. Someone says you're talented. You point out all your flaws. Someone celebrates your progress. You change the subject. Why? Because attention can feel dangerous. For many people, success creates visibility, and visibility creates vulnerability. The more successful you become, the more people notice you, judge you, expect things from you. Somewhere deep down, your brain may have learned that standing out isn't safe. So every time recognition appears, you instinctively push it away. Not because you don't deserve it, because part of you believes staying unnoticed is safer. This sign is more common than most people realize. Imagine becoming everything you've wanted to become. More confident, more successful, more fulfilled. Now, ask yourself something uncomfortable. Would everyone in your life celebrate that version of you? Or would some relationships start to feel different? Success often changes social dynamics. People who felt comfortable with your old identity may struggle with your new one. Some friends drift away. Some family members become critical. Some people start treating you differently. And if you've experienced this before, your brain remembers. Sometimes staying small feels like a way to keep belonging, even when it costs you your future. Have you ever noticed this pattern? Things start going well. Momentum builds. An opportunity appears. And suddenly, you get distracted. You pick a fight. You start a completely different project. You convince yourself the timing isn't right. It's almost as if your brain pulls the emergency brake. From the outside, it looks irrational. But psychologically, it makes sense. Because success means entering unfamiliar territory. And your nervous system prefers certainty, even painful certainty. So right before crossing into a new chapter, You unconsciously create a reason to stay where you are. You finally achieve something you've wanted for years. For a moment, it feels good. Then immediately your brain says, yeah, but it wasn't enough. You hit one goal. Now, there's another, then another, then another. Nothing ever feels complete. At first, this looks like ambition. Sometimes it is. But sometimes it's avoidance. Because if you allowed yourself to fully acknowledge your success, something strange would happen. You would have to accept that you are becoming the person you once wanted to be. And that realization can be uncomfortable, especially if you've spent years identifying as the person who's still trying. This is often the deepest fear of all. Many people don't fear success itself. They fear what success represents. They worry they'll become arrogant, selfish, disconnected, different. They worry they'll lose the parts of themselves they value. And so they unconsciously resist growth, because staying where they are feels morally safer. But here's the truth. Success doesn't automatically change your character. It reveals it. Money doesn't create generosity. It reveals generosity. Power doesn't create integrity. It reveals integrity. Achievement doesn't erase who you are. It amplifies who you already are. And that's an important distinction. Because the fear that success will turn you into someone else may be the very thing preventing you from becoming who you were meant to be. Here's the twist. This entire time, we've been talking about fear. But the real issue isn't fear. The real issue is familiarity. Human beings are wired to seek what feels familiar, not what feels good, not what feels healthy, not even what feels rewarding. What feels familiar. That's why people stay in unhealthy relationships, stay in jobs they hate, stay in patterns that hurt them. Familiarity feels safe, even when it isn't. And if struggle has been your normal for long enough, success can feel unfamiliar, which means it can feel dangerous, not because it is, but because your brain hasn't learned to recognize it as safe yet. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. The goal is to stop treating fear as evidence that you're moving in the wrong direction. Sometimes fear appears because you're about to lose something important. But sometimes fear appears because you're about to become someone you've never been before. And your brain doesn't know the difference. So the next time you find yourself procrastinating on something that matters, or pulling back right before an opportunity, or convincing yourself you're not ready, ask a different question. Not, what if I fail? Ask, what if part of me is afraid that I won't? Because that answer might change everything.